It was about a year and a half ago. I remember because the city still hadn't torn down the old bus stop. The one that always reeked of gasoline and cheap hot dogs. Her name was Marta. 24 years old. From the kind of place where after 9 at night the only entertainment is listening to the fridge hum. Marta worked as a waitress in a godforsaken little cafe out on the highway's edge. The kind of place where the coffee tastes like engine oil. And the pie looks like evidence in a crime scene. That day he showed up for the first time. Tall and thin like a mast swaying in the wind. With black greasy hair falling across his face. You could barely see his eyes. Just hear a faint muttering as if his head was playing its own strange soundtrack. To a stranger he might have been just another quiet oddball. The kind small towns have more of than road signs. But I had seen his kind before. And I knew the quiet ones always drag a long shadow behind them. He almost always wore the same gray hoodie. The sleeves were stained. Coffee maybe or some kind of grease. Like the last time he'd seen a pressed shirt was at a funeral. He always took the corner booth. The one where the lamp flickered from old wiring. And sat there for hours over a cup of black coffee. Only black. No sugar. No milk. As if sweetness might throw off whatever inner balance he was guarding. At first I didn't pay him much attention. People in a cafe come and go like passengers on the subway. Some walk in. Others walk out. No one stays for long. But he stayed. And he watched Marta. Not the way a guy looks at a girl he likes. His gaze was cold. Measuring. The way you look at an object you want to study. Or maybe take apart piece by piece. One night Marta was closing up the cafe. It was late. The dark window reflecting her like a mirror. And then in the reflection a silhouette. Him. Standing outside. Staring through the glass as if he could read her thoughts. She decided it was probably just some lonely oddball. No one had told him that staring at a woman in the dark is not romance. It is a reason to call the police. A week later the oddball changed the rules of the game. Under Marta's apartment door a torn scrap of notebook paper appeared. The handwriting was crooked. Blue suits you. That day her uniform hadn't been blue at all. But something else had been. Her underwear. The set she had put on that morning. The one no one could have seen but her. Inside everything went cold. She checked the windows. The locks. Everything was intact. She tossed the note in the trash. Telling herself maybe a prank. Maybe kids. But kids do not do things like that. This was someone who slips into your life quietly like a shadow without permission. The kitchen knife migrated from the drawer to under her pillow. Her new nighttime guard. But knives do not stop shadows. Over the next few weeks everything slid downhill. She started seeing him everywhere. Not up close. Just at the edges of her vision. A dark silhouette across the street when she was walking home. A figure under a street lamp directly opposite her window at night. Sometimes a glimpse from behind a grocery store shelf. Through the boxes of cereal. She would turn. And he would already be gone. Marta kept telling herself it was just insomnia. Exhaustion. Paranoia. But self-reassurance does not help when another note slides under your door. I like it when you let your hair down. Do not leave your curtains open. I am closer than you think. That childish uneven handwriting. With each new note her skin broke into a cold sweat faster than she could finish reading. On a friend's advice Marta stopped throwing the notes away. She began stacking them in an old shoebox like pieces of evidence. Though she was afraid to admit to herself they were evidence of something real. She prayed he would get bored. That he would just disappear. But it was her peace that vanished. Footsteps behind her on the walk home. She would turn. Nothing. Trash cans tipped over outside her building. And then a small dead bird on her porch. Neck broken. Feathers scattered. As if someone had plucked them one by one. The notes changed too. I can hear you breathing at night. You cannot hide from me. Marta had almost stopped sleeping. She sat up through the night under the lamp's glow. Clutching the knife so tightly her fingers turned white. She knew he was out there. And that it was only a matter of time before he crossed the line. That's when she finally told a neighbor. An older man well past 60. Let's call him Priory. He lived one building over. The kind who is always smoking on the balcony. And here's news before the paper prints it. That day trembling she knocked on his door. And it all came pouring out. The notes. The footsteps at her back. The gaze from the dark that cut her nerves sharper than any blade. He listened. The smile fading from his face. Finally he put a hand on her shoulder and said. You are not alone. You see something strange. Call me. Day or night. I will be there. For the first time in weeks she felt like someone had her back. But stalkers do not just vanish because you have found an ally. And the notes changed again. I will slit that pretty throat of yours. No one will save you. I am coming soon. She stopped leaving the house unless absolutely necessary. Checked the locks 10 times over. By then I had already begun mapping his routes. His hours of appearance. Quietly pulling on old strings in the department. Because I knew soon he would make his move. And I needed to be faster. That night broke everything. Marta was in the kitchen trying to calm her nerves with tea. When she saw the silhouette in the window. Tall. Thin. Unhurried. He walked up her front path like he knew she was watching and did not care. That was his trademark. Movements that said. I am here. And I will do whatever I want. Her heart froze. She grabbed the phone. Dialed 911. Her voice trembling as she whispered. He's trying to get into my house. Please hurry. The dispatcher told her to stay calm. Help was on the way. But Marta knew the police would not make it in time. She called Priory. Once. Twice. Nothing. No answer. Not even the click of voicemail. She remembered the little pistol. A gift from her father when she had first moved out on her own. She had never used it. But she always kept it loaded in the nightstand. She took it in her hands. Fingers trembling so hard the metal slipped against her palms. She turned off the lights. Crouched at the top landing of the stairs. Keeping her aim fixed on the front door. The house was silent. But in that silence she could feel him. He was out there. Waiting. Every minute dragged like an eternity. Sticky sweat trickled down her hands. Making the grip slick beneath her fingers. Then the door exploded inward with a splintering crack. A shadow slipped inside fast. In moments like that there is no time to think. Only instinct. Marta screamed and pulled the trigger. Once. Twice. 3 times. The figure groaned and collapsed to the floor. The pistol slid from her hands. Her legs barely held as she made her way down the stairs. In the dark she saw blood spreading across the wooden floor. Too much. She hit the switch. Relief bloomed in her chest. It was over. The monster would not be getting back up. That relief lasted 1 heartbeat. It was not the stalker. It was Priory. The same warm laugh now forever silent. His face pale. His chest no longer rising. In his hands he clutched a flashlight. Not a weapon. He was still breathing but each breath came with a wet gurgle of blood. He tried to speak but the words sank into the dark. Then he went still. She pressed on the wounds. Begging him to hold on.